trashy champion.
They don't have to do it. Also, of course, depends on what else is actually left open. Kalista, Jarvan, Tristana are the 3 most common red side bans at the moment. Xayah, Rakan, of course, very contested. And then otherwise, we start moving to these different picks like Gragas and Sejuani as potential first picks. They do get rid of the Elise. They don't want to give that champion over to Jankos here in his first rotation to potentially just snowball the early game.
Right, and I think it's good you pointed out the Xayah Rakan too, because on blue side Splyce, if they wanted to early pick, they can really only get the one, and it seems like Mickey X, it's almost an indispensable champion for him. He had some insane combos.
Yeah, and if Xayah Rakan are both open, I still want to see Xayah first pick above the Rakan, because you can then play Morgana against the Rakan himself and actually win the lane with Xayah Morgana. But that is something, of course, for the future. H2K need to decide if they want to leave Tristana open for Cobby, if they want to ban it away, and then see Splyce most likely first pick the Xayah.
Well, we'll have to find out. 13 seconds still ticking for H2K as they take their time, mull it over what their final ban will be. Will they remove the Sejuani themselves?
Or will they trade Tristana for Xayah Rakan? That is also an option if you are H2K, and that is what we're looking towards at the moment. Whenever Tristana is open, she tends to get first picked. There is just really not that many good picks against her. Splyce might have a different idea here. This Rakan, they gotta be careful though, because one, the Alistar works fine against the Rakan. Morgana is fantastic against Rakan as well if you play Xayah, especially. Like, it's a really good 2v2 lane for H2K if Che wants to play that. H2K also will be looking at Sejuani again, but now H2K need to decide, do they want to play Xayah or do they want to play the Tristana?
It's a tough choice for sure. A lot of damage on both sides, but H2K, look at how much time they're taking on this when they finally last couple seconds tick and they lock in the Trist. See if the Sejuani follows suit.
Can definitely go Sejuani here, give Xayah over to Splyce, and then play against the Xayah Rakan lane with a defensive support on the side of H2K, because Splyce set up for this first pick Rakan. They banned Thresh, which is one of the good picks against it. They then saw as well the Kalista Jarvan on the side of H2K, and they knew there might be a potential trade happening with Xayah Rakan for Tristana something. And H2K, they took it. They didn't want to take the Xayah to deny the combo. They wanted the best available AD carry. So obviously, Copy will be playing the Xayah now.
Yeah, pretty easy peasy to lock that one in, so they get themselves the bot lane, and a Galio is locked.
Oh, okay. Splyce, level 6 Galio, go to the bottom lane. Insane combo they're drafting at the moment. H2K, they gotta be careful in this early to mid game. There's a lot of big picks open that we normally see banned away in this series here. H2K, if they want things like Morgana, Tahm Kench, or Alistar, they can go for support here. They can also say if there's anything specific they want to play mid against this Galio, and with Lucian banned as well, Splyce are finding comfort picks and already killed some of the counters. It's actually a very smart draft from Splyce, kind of forcing H2K into a lot of decisions they have to make between, do we want to give comfort picks over Xayah Rakan combo, or do we want to get best available picks for ourselves?
Yeah, seems like definitely keeping H2K guessing for the time being with a few seconds still ticking down. Of course, Zac is banned away by H2K. Remember, Splyce haven't picked up their jungler just yet.
And other picks for mid lane, I mean, Galio can lane against everything else. It's only Lucian who's a super hard counter to him. Things like Corki you can handle, Cassiopeia you can handle as well if you are this Galio here, so they might not be too afraid of whatever it is we might see from Febiven in that mid lane, and that's why they go towards top lane picks instead.
Yeah, Nars off the board. We'll see if he follows through with the Rumble as well. H2K, of course, had a couple of similar picks already with this Tristana. What else do they need to add in? What can Febiven really do? I guess maybe just try to pick a roaming champion of his own and ignore the mid lane.
Potentially. H2K, Gragas is available still as a pick for Trashy. They already banned the Zac. And funny enough, they actually banned away the Kayn here. They saw a lot of strong lanes from Splyce and realized that the Kayn might be an option.
Well, limit that possibility. Sustain for that one. H2K, with the Jace banned away, it's back over to them. Let's see what they draft next.
Yeah, they can, like, they need to pick solo laners here. They gotta show one of them first. Renekton is open if they want to take that for top lane and play Renekton Sejuani. But you against the Galios, that can be difficult because enemy team can just camp you with the Galio lane. So they go for the Cassiopeia. Gragas is right there for Trashy to take it. Like, he sees the Zac ban, he sees the Kayn ban, and he's like, sure, worst case you fall back on his most comfortable pick anyway.
Yeah, why not? So won't need to take it. Maybe just a little bit after this one, since we might see the Trundle locked in. Okay.
Okay, so with the Gnar ban and with the Jace ban, they were setting up for a blind Trundle top. Rumble is still available for Odoamne, and they had the Rumble Sejuani Alistar combo last game that worked perfectly fine in team fights. Renekton is another choice to play Renekton Sejuani and just try and stomp the Trundle in the early game.
Timer ticking down. H2K have not been shy about using all of their allotted time, and it looks like they do decide on the Renekton. So this time around, some similar pieces, but a little bit of different damage sources. Renekton up top can be a big bully early, and we've seen what Jankos can do in the early game on this Sejuani. But also Nuclear, not on the utility champion. Instead, he's got a hyper carry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, H2K got a pretty sick draft. It's just if you look on the other side, you see the Zyra Khan and a Galio, and you look at Splyce specifically with this combo and what they did against G2 in the first game in the quarterfinals, where they were ganking mid early to give a big lead over to the Galio. Then they used the Galio ulti early on to go top lane, get Wonder ahead, and then right after they used everything they had in terms of globals to go bot lane and play around Mickey and Cobby, and they could actually snowball all 3 lanes by doing that. That's what we're kind of looking at again in this game here. Get Galio ahead, give him level 6, and then you can use his pressure in the side lanes to get really far ahead of H2K. But this Renekton here might actually ruin the day for them, because Renekton Sejuani is a dirty 2v2 combo in the early game, and Trundle will not offer a lot of damage in return. I'm really looking at Odoamne and Jankos to control that top side, meaning Splyce will look more towards the bottom lane with Zyra Khan and that Galio ulti.
Well, we'll see if it all goes according to the H2K plan. Remember, they do find themselves 1 game up, but it was an explosive start to this regional qualifier, but both these teams want to make a repeat performance at Worlds. Only one can go on to the next round to face off against the Unicorns, potentially face off against Fnatic. H2K off to a good start. We'll see how well they can control this early game, because if not, the Splyce Wombo combo's coming straight for them.
And we have to look at Febiven and Nuclear again. They're once again on this combination where the 2 carries are really good at killing whoever's right in front of them. They do not need to reach Copy in the back line. If you play Cassiopeia, Tristana, you can kill the tanks. Meaning your way of team fighting suddenly changes. You can actually kite back, just hit whatever is right there. And if you kill the first tank, then you suddenly just, pull the trigger and you can actually start running over the enemy team, because you have a numbers advantage, you have more damage than them, you have more tanks than them. After that point, it's on Splyce once again to actually be able to reach the carries on H2K, but they only have 1 true damage dealer, and that is Cobby on this Xayah here. We really need to see Splyce in the early to mid game get Cobby and Mickey's lane ahead with this Galio ulti. There is one situation where they might have to try and help Wonder too much in the top lane, and that might just actually end up backfiring for them if it means the Nuclear and Che 2v2 lane just goes even. Zyra Khan with Galio is fantastic. Utilize it.
So if the focus is going to be on the bottom side for Splyce and H2K have a deadly combo up top, are we just going to start to see the map turning in a 360-degree Artificio?
It's definitely possible in this game here. Trundle is normally not a good blind pick, because his early laning phase against some of these bullies here is pretty tricky to play. So I really want to see what Wonder is doing. It's not a matchup we see that often up in the top lane.
Wonder really plays all that often. Now, Senkut's getting off to a big start with the Winds of War, but Febiven is already spending all of his mana pool just to chunk him down. Kick things off, has a few more charges of his Corrupting Potion left up, and you gotta think that they want to get him low, prime him for that first blood kill.
I mean, Febiven also knows that he's going to be a target in the early game. Whenever you see Galio with a ganking jungler, Galio can Justice Punch in, charge up his taunt, and force the enemy mid laner to step away, otherwise he gets CC'd and he just dies to the gank. Febiven also running Cleanse to avoid that from happening, but very aggressive start here.
Yep.
Of course, when you are playing Cassiopeia, you can spam your Twin Fangs in the early game and
late game.
And late game.
And the mid game.
Most other mid laners don't really have an ability they can spam level 1. Jankos and Trashy are both looking topside early. Trashy's trying to swing this in favor of Wonder.
He's around earlier, though. This time, Odoamne doesn't know this is happening. Well, maybe he does. Turn in where his jungler is. Flash body slam over. Odoamne, he slices, trying for the dice, and now flashing. It's gonna be first blood with a club to Wonder. Jankos now running for his life back under the tower. So Splyce turn the tables on this early game H2K strat.
All right, so step one of the Splyce game plan was go top lane, try and shut down Uramne to get Trundle in a good spot here. Early gank from Trashy. Really feel like H2K could have actually looked for that and tried to prevent it, but there was no early wards spotting this path here from Trashy, and it almost looked too easy to go up top lane and kill this Renekton. So there's no wards spotting it. There's a little bit of a safety for Uramne because he knows his jungler is top killing the Rift Scuttler, and then suddenly Trashy appears behind.
Yep.
I think
he's outside the vision.
Yeah, the fact that Uramne, of course, can't flash over the wall either. Like, Wonder actually tried to follow, but none of the players been spending enough time in their sandbox mode, so both of them head first into the wall. We didn't see that one, we just saw 2 kills. No one flashed into the walls here.
Nah, it's okay. Wait for the cooldowns to come back up. We won't really make any statements about it. But Trashy returns to the scene of the crime. This time, no wards there to spot him. Once again, Jankos, he's still not that close. And
again, Splyce is just trying to make sure Wonder does not fall behind. We kept talking about how strong the Renekton and Sejuani combo can be for camping topside. All Trashy's doing is try and make sure that Wonder can actually lane up in top lane.
Yeah. And for the time being, the duo lane down bottom's not having too much trouble. It's a slight CS advantage in favor of Kabi. You can see how aggressive they're playing to try and get the poke off onto Nuclear and Che, throw their weight around. So honestly, the lane I'm worried about the most might even be the mid, since Sencux, he took a heaping helping of damage early on from the Cassio.
He's fine though with the Galio here. Use TP back to lane, and surprise, surprise, Jankos is sitting topside.
All right, okay, Mickey might have gone a little too far forward. Explosive charge on top of him. And that'll be the end of that for now, but Jankos waiting and baiting, trying to look for Wonder. Odo goes aggressive. Wonder without a whole lot of mana to speak of, backs off.
All right, they force Wonder to step away, but this is okay for him. He has TP to get back into the lane. He's getting a lot of CS early, and he's not getting killed by any early ganks.
Oh, they were looking for the Tristana, rocket jump away. Nuclear is back, turns around once again. Mickey X, the battle dance to keep him nice and safe behind Kabi. That enhanced range is going to come in handy a little bit later as well, but we're getting closer and closer to that mark. The all-important level 6 in the mid that you were talking about in the pick and ban, Deficio. Sencux on 5. Let's see if he's going to be able to get anything off in the early game. Trashy only at 4.
Yeah, exactly, and it's fun to see once again that Jankos, you know, needs to spend time on top side to try and get Renekton ahead, because the graphic here is showing how Jankos and Febiven used to play a lot together. They used to always try to camp mid and get mid ahead. They've tried a lot in this playoffs as well, but only, you know, the third most time spent around mid for Febiven and Jankos, specifically with the jungle proximity. Funny enough, Febiven's not really been able to shine too much in playoffs, but Jankos is still so active on the map in every single game. He's the jungler spending the most time with his laners. And last game, it wasn't around mid. He spent all his time in top and bot lane.
And it was effective too.
It was extremely effective. Febiven just played safe. This game, what's the game plan again? It's go top lane, go to the side lane. Febiven needs to just try and play safe in his lane. And now, surprise, surprise, level 6 for Galio, right back down in the bottom lane for a kill.
And bring Trashy for good measure. They look for Che. The Hero's entrance is going to hit right on top of Che's head. Nuclear was trying to get out of there, and Shielded Duran flashing forward. Winds of War. Nuclear, nothing in the tank right now. And it's a slow march under the second tier 2. Trashy polishes him off, and Splyce on the dive, get 2 kills.
The exact play we talked about. Get level 6 for Galio and then play around the bottom lane. Splyce has been practicing this one at home for sure, setting up that play so well, executing it, getting first tower at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. What a great early game. And we looked at those picks from H2K, we're like, man, this is great. They're getting so many strong champions, but giving Galio mid for Sencux and then now the Zyra-Khan combo just means that Splyce can make plays like this one.
Talked about the ability snowballing 3 lanes. They got one going in earnest. The mid lane holding pretty strong, and even the top with all the detention from Trashy's not doing too shabby, and we get to see this dive one more time.
There's nothing you can do as Nuclear and Che here. If you have not already left the lane, you will just die, because even if Jankos is there, it's a 4v3 with a Galio ulti going in from Splyce's side, and obviously Jankos is trying to do the only correct thing is go top lane, see if he can get a kill on Wonder. But because this Trundle got first blood, and because this Trundle got so much CS in the start, he's the same level as Renekton. He already sits with Ninja Tappy, so killing this Trundle is not as easy. And game plan so far, spot on from Splyce.
Yep, 3-0 on the kills, and you can see with the control of the bottom lane, they're able to try and get some vision on the Infernal Drake. They didn't take it after the dive. Not sure if they didn't quite have enough time to be able to do it or not, but
oh, yeah, it takes
low
too
death
much
timers. Yeah, we're only 7.5 minutes in.
Yeah, you gotta go back to base, buy your items, get back in the lanes. You do not want to start falling behind in tempo when you're already winning. No, we're waiting for now. We're waiting for this Galio to be ready again. Trashy is saying he doesn't need to wait. He has ulti, he has everything he needs. And no flash on Nuclear at the moment.
And no tower.
Senkuk's TP soon up. His ulti will need at least 20 seconds. I'm going to change that to 50 seconds.
Yeah, a little bit of a...
What's the difference? 20, 50, size, irrelevant.
It's like that, you know, when your Microsoft program's trying to install. You don't know how long it's going to take.
No.
But Splyce, yeah, firmly in the lead. Excellent execution of that game plan. And wonder, even with the kill up in the top side, I mean, this Renekton hasn't really been super effective either. And oh my goodness, those feathers are starting to sting.
It's level 6 on Corby already, pushing this lane here. You can now decide, do you want to dive the bot lane again? Do you want to move Mickey towards the mid lane with the Gragas and kill the Cassiopeia? Like, suddenly, you get a lot of openings here as Splyce. There's a Drake as well you can go down and grab after pushing lane. Like, there are 3 options right there. Try and, you know, brute force bot lane even harder. Kill the Drake. Go mid lane and try and kill the Cassiopeia. They pick the Drake. That's a safe one. Why not? It's an Infernal Drake.
Exactly what they need. So it's starting to look like a little different type of game. However, H2K
it might not be that safe.
Fire back. Oh, the charm is on. The quickness fed of an insta-cleanse. And Senkuk's not quite in the range, but they have the damage to finish him off anyways. And all of a sudden, H2K coming out of the woodwork, but they don't have a Cassio to work with. Trashy stuck under the dragon, and it looks like the coordination was H2K's. They might come up with the spoils right now. Smited down, Trashy having to get out of dodge. Oh, this is oh so much trouble. Splyce bit off way more than they could chew.
What a turnaround. I thought that was just a guaranteed safe Infernal Drake for Splyce. H2K could not react in time, but they made the call. They went straight for the fight. Early TP from Odoamne. And once we get the replay as well, notice how many members tried to kill Febiven and how long it actually took them to take him down in time. And H2K looked like a team that was just gonna fall even further behind, but what a call. Look at this here, they collapse down, they know Dominic can TP in, and it's looking rough, but notice Trashy doesn't get a good ulti off on Febi either. And then they have to use so many ultis on trying to kill just the Cassiopeia, and here is a level 7 Renekton in their face.
Oh, after the laning phase, it looks so good. In the top side, Odoamne starts running wild, you got 2 kills, and now the Croc's unlocked. It's not going to be so easy for Splyce to kind of play around that.
From being down 3,000 gold and what looked like an Infernal Drake as well, to suddenly only being down 1.5 and actually getting 4 kills for your team. That is huge now for H2K. After that fight here, Splyce will still be ahead. They can still make the same kind of plays. They have the Galio ulti, they have TP on him as well to go to that side lane where Zyrakana's sitting. It's just getting a little bit harder now that you just gave away so many kills.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, those options. Looks like H2K have a few more of their own, and one they're exercising is on to Mickey X. Nuclear going forward. Doesn't want to flash in to try and finish the kill. Copy was already around, so Mickey was able to battle dance within the range. A lot of H2K members heading up towards the top side. Looks like they might want to set off a dive of their own. Of course, Yanko's spotted by a deep ward.
Oh, so sneaky Odoamne. They're not expecting him to sit up there because bottom lane is where Trundle is, and obviously you expect the one-on-one to continue, but all inning for this top lane.
Whoa. Oh boy, in goes the Crocodile. Yanko soon to follow, and instantly Splyce. No, they can't take this fight. They back away. Or do they?
Yeah, let's remember they have Galio ulti. In case H2K tries to tower dive, Galio can join.
All right, 2-man charm. In goes Che, and now Nuclear on the other side. But here comes the hero's entrance. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. H2K trying for this dive, but it looks like the rest of Splyce were hanging firm until Kabi's going to fall. That's 1 reset. Looking for 2 on Mickey, and Yankos is going to be the one who gets that kill credit, and it was not the cleanest, but they pull off the dive up top.
European aggression, baby. Both teams are just constantly fighting each other. It's fantastic. That setup from H2K, they were investing everything. They moved Renekton top lane without TP, allowing Wonder just to sit bot lane for himself. And they just say, we need to go for this tower dive. No matter what, we're committing to it. And they actually managed to execute it, get a few more kills. Sure to lose the bot lane tower, but they were hoping to at least get a top lane tower for this little fight they were setting up.
Yep. Rift Herald is far away.
Stupid Rift Herald.
Yeah. Get out of my house. H2K, though, man, they really do like to double down. May not always be the cleanest, but they go all in on these 3-man, knowing that the Galio ult could come.
So they know exactly what's going to happen here, but they're fighting away from the turret for as long as possible. It's a great knockback from Trashy into a knock-up from Galio, though, to actually guarantee a kill on the Renekton. But now the rest of H2K after Febiven joins, they know they're still winning the fight. They can get a few more kills. The most important thing is that Sencux went back to the lane, killed the minions, so H2K could not get a tower and had to just step away and see Wonder kill that tower in the bottom lane. So despite losing a few kills, Splyce kept the gold lead.
However, H2K have shown that they can pull off these fights, and with an advantage positionally up in the top side, it seems to be a matter of time before they'll be able to take down that tower, but they do definitely need the gold infusion if they want to keep this one going. The tempo advantage, 3 kills on the Tristana. Let's see if they can get even more here. The Rift Herald started up once again by Jankos.
All right, mid lane is pushed in. Top lane is gonna get pushed in now. Trashy is around if he wants to check if the Rift Herald is being started. We've been fighting over towers so far. We might as well fight over Rift Herald as well, because Sencux is here too, but you can see how Splyce can't really commit yet because they needed to kill that top lane wave. Good push from H2K. Good setup with push mid first, push top, then go Rift Herald and secure it. Nice little setup, and this should be another tower for them.
Yep. Went all in on the top side. Time to collect. H2K waiting and baiting in the brush, and see the top laners locked up on the bottom side. Both had their teleports up and available, both level 10. Still a very close, tense game. Splyce with the gold advantage, but H2K having won the last fight, having secured the Rift Herald. And they are 4 members strong, 3 members strong, make that up on the top side because there's a Cassiopeia in that brush.
It's going to be an interesting game to play for Odoamne because he's not really been able to be a lane bully on his Renekton. And typically you want to be 20-30 CS up after laning phase and have taken your tower when you pick Renekton. Trundle will get enough armor and lifesteal to just take the 1v1 against Odoamne. And in this game here, because Wonder has been not pressured at all, he should be able to do it. Nice game 1 stats.
Yeah.
That's what I call a KDA player.
I don't know, man. He was throwing himself right into the middle of things, and he still didn't go down.
But he's playing for that sick KDA.
It'd be hard. I mean, he still hasn't died. It'd be hard to match the performance from game number 1 on the Sejuani, but so far he's been involved in damn near every kill in this game. And now the Rift Herald is procced on the mid. Sencux having to adjust his punch sideways as he watches his tower fall, so H2K in the end get there mid for the first.
1,000 gold lead for Splyce after being up 3,000 before that Infernal Drake was started. Sencux trying to kill the Rift Herald will be forced away. Top lane tower is open right now because Splyce bot lane just recalled after mid getting pushed in. They did push out the wave first though, so Nuclear won't get a lot of hits on it just yet. And I think if you are Splyce, you can commit to the top side and try and get the tier 1 tower and just let Wonder farm in the bot lane. Let Wonder outscale in that bottom lane.
And H2K, they start themselves up. An Air Dragon, not really able to contest right now. So despite the fact that Splyce still holding on to that gold lead, despite the fact that they can let Wonder scale up and kind of sit back and relax for a little while, H2K aren't slouching. They're just moving around the map and getting every advantage they can find.
Exactly. And we've seen calls from H2K in this game I don't feel like we've seen at all during playoffs. Like when they were that far down, it just felt like they were going to fall apart and that this game was over.
We usually see them trying to make these big dives too, like we saw up top, but it backfires when they're behind more often than not. So for H2K, their execution is certainly cleaned up.
Yeah, exactly. We've just seen a lot more confidence as well in these calls here. Think back to last game when they lost the Baron. They didn't just sit back and defend. They found a good fight. They took it. They won the fight. Now they're doing the same in this game here after seeing that Infernal Drake getting started. And it's why they're getting back in the game. They're not just slowly losing. They're actually fighting their way back in. And it's good to see from H2K. But they still got to deal with this Trundle in the bottom lane. And it's not going to get easier, Pyra.
Yeah.
He's really going to be a massive bully. And he can just ulti the Sejuani in late game team fights and be a huge tank as well. Yeah,
that's the difference right there. You can't really kill the Sejuani that was as big as Jankos was with the lineup they had last time, but when you can steal those stats away, it's a whole nother ballpark. All right, Che and Mickey X playing the ward clear game. Only a little bit of points for that. Gets headbutted back and is able to dash back over into the pit. Just a little bit of love taps up here towards the top lane.
Yeah, I really like the Splyce again are committing to that top side and trying to just get Cobb in a position to kill the tower. All Trash is doing is just play around vision on top. He needs to go back and kill his campstone, just make sure he's keeping up in levels with this Sejuani. That is what he's going to do now. So we get both teams playing topside. We get Odoamne conceding the bottom lane against the Trundle, meaning it's Wonder moving first, if you guys look at the minimap. So is Sencux. That means a potential fight could happen.
So much movement in the series already. I mean, this is the quietest part of the series we've had so
collapsing.
far, but I think that's about to change. Pillar comes up, and Odoamne tried for the collapse. Flash away from Sencux. Wonder not so lucky. He does have it available, but decided not to use it just till now, tanking a lot of damage. Shield of Durand on. Will this buy enough time for Trashy to come in to save the day? He can't quite do it. Senkuk's going in on top of himself, it looks like. Trashy flashing back out. Yanko's tanking the damage, but it's all H2K in this mid lane. And with cleaning up Wonder and Senkuk's, they will claim the spoils of that fight. Another tower in the mid.
It was Splyce looking for a play top lane. You saw Wonder move in, you saw Senkuk's move up there, and H2K realized they can turn. We can just turn right in the mid lane, go straight for the Trundle and the Galio. 18 minutes in, they're killing the inhib turret.
Yeah, who needs side lane turrets? That's 1, 2, 3 down the mid lane. It's going to be the first inhibitor of the game. 18 minutes unless Splyce can stop this push. There's still a few more minions left to try and tank up a couple more shots to the opposite side, and H2K comes straight down the front door.
That is some quick fights into some quick objectives in the game here. Splyce setting up for a top lane play, getting countered by H2K, just collapsing in that mid lane. Good slice and dice here from Odoamne to stay onto him, and then he just gets the last hit that allows Jankos to fire that super long-range stun. That is what guarantees the kill.
I don't know why Wonder didn't flash until it was way too late to make things happen, and by the time Jankos gets knocked into this tower, there's so many minions arriving, the rest of H2K are there. I mean, brilliant play by H2K. It seems Splyce were caught sleeping.
Let's see now. Baron is not even alive, and there's super minions in the mid lane.
This is not a usual territory for League of Legends for either of these teams, I would say.
We had our finals, G2 Misfits. 20 minutes, 0 kills. Back and forth, just slowly making sure it's all about the fancy rotations and the vision and whatever. This game, last game as well, fight all the time. And the funny thing is, most of the fights are actually like good fights to take, at least for one team. It's not just random fights happening.
They're well set up. They are getting the vision as well. It's just they're not playing the gentleman's game. They decide to get their hands dirty a little bit, and now you can see things starting to get even more bloody. H2K, fourth tower up in the top. That's the one they've managed to finally polish off, and we're nearing that 20-minute mark.
And also both teams kind of predicting what the other team is going to do, and then they're trying to react accordingly. And like, either it's cross-mapping, so you trade top lane tower for bottom lane tower, or it's like, no, we can just fight you. This pretty fed Trundle, as we mentioned, who will win the side lane, is currently bullying out the Renekton.
Well, H2K might end up winning this one, but Odoamne is definitely going to have a bad game. That seems to be fate right now. However, the rest of H2K aren't so fussed. A lot of damage on this top turret. When you have a Tristana, demolishing them is pretty easy effort, especially on 2 items.
And let's remember, while Odoamne died to that first blood, and he's not doing a lot in his side lane, he's joined the teamfights twice and been super impactful twice. He went top lane, no, sorry, 3 times. Infernal Drake, big TP into the back line. Went top lane to secure another fight with more kills. And then the one we saw just in mid lane, giving a tower. Let's see what happens here.
Oh, they want to make another play. Hero's entrance coming in, trying for the Tristana, and the tower was gone down before it even began. There's the shutdown. Kabi getting the finishing blow. The rest of H2K trying for the retreat path. Meanwhile, the top laners still locked in epic combat with each other. And Baron's on the rift right now. It's a man advantage for Splyce. Let's see if they dare to try it. There's super minions in the mid. They can't afford to leave home.
No, so early in the game as well, with only Xayah really dealing damage against the Baron. It's just not enough. Wonder was not there to help them. Good CC chain, Pyro. Did you see that on Pyro? On Pyro, yeah, on you, Pyro, you're in there. On,
yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what happens
on Nuclear.
I'm usually in those situations, but
just getting locked down and didn't even get to use flash and just died straight away.
But despite the fact that he, that he went down there and they threw everything at him, Nuclear's actually had a pretty solid game this time around. He was pushed back in the laning phase, but he picked up a couple of crucial kills. He's been really key to demolishing these towers because the front line keeps protecting him.
Very important though that it's Kabi getting the kill on the side of Splyce, because we mentioned there's one main damage dealer here, that is the Xayah. I think we can add another one, especially with the build one that's going for. And saying that
true.
The Trundle damage will be pretty serious, but in a late game fight, you need to rely on your AD carry, and that is Kabi in this game. He picked up this second kill here, 2 items for him. He's so important for Splyce in the game we're watching, and him getting a shutdown on a fairly fed Tristana, it's one of those things that can really help Splyce back in the game.
Yeah, and he's going to be having an even better time trying to chase down stragglers once that Blade of the Ruin King's all finished up, and oh boy. H2K still get themselves another Air Drake, so even more movement speed out of combat. They've been having the run of the dragons this time around. Of course, Baron, not the easiest thing to take so early in the game, but with the base broken open, Splyce, they have to keep their attention on the mid for the time being, still holding onto their side lanes as they do it, but you always have to respect the collapse and flank. The last time H2K fought in the mid lane with all their members, it was Splyce that bit the dust.
And it's a really good Baron comp from H2K as well. They got a tank in Sejuani with a lot of armor who can tank it. They have Cassiopeia for their insane single target DPS, even a 3-item, soon 3-item Tristana. So with the vision control they've already lined up by pushing top and mid, as soon as they go out of vision, Splyce are calling Dick Baron right now. We need to react. We have to move in and try and stop them. And it forces Splyce to always play catch-up here.
Yeah, H2K know they have the tempo advantage. It's dangerous to try and face check in there, especially alone, because out of the brushes comes the entirety of the H2K squad. Glacial Prison dodged out by Trashy. One key ultimate burned, and look where Wonder is on the side lane.
Exactly. Once again, he's in the side lane, meaning right now Odoamne needs to just commit to the Baron, and he's doing it, trying to force the TP from the Trundle.
Trey trying to block. H2K, they've peeled off right here. They want to take the fight instead, and look, they've managed to catch out Mickey. Shredding through his health bar, however, at the same time, the Trundle is still wailing away at the base, but this is going to be a hard take. Trashy, no way he can break through that line to try and steal.
Splyce is trying to buy time here for the Trundle to kill that inhibitor.
Knock the barrel in. Okay, headbutt away. Not going to be able to stop this Baron buff. However, they do trade on an inhib. H2K. Let's see if they say worth.
Well, very clear here that Splyce were not looking to actually try and engage onto H2K. They were just kind of hovering around, making sure Wonder had enough time to trade Baron for bot lane inhib. Of course, you will always take the Baron in a game like this because now H2K can actually push down to the base of Splyce. There's only one outer turret left. Kill that one, and suddenly you're looking at all the inhibs.
Yeah, talk about all the trades. I mean, this is a game where we had a sub 20-minute inhibitor taken by H2K when they had no other towers except in the mid lane. Down bot, Splyce have been able to do the same thing here with the Baron going over at the same time. Man, and you know, they're playing exactly to what they need to protect some of these carries. Knight's Vow on both sides. Jankos did this last game, of course, but now Trashy's in the mix as well.
I mean, it's been a really, really fun series so far. Game 1 delivered, Game 2 delivering as well. Great, you know, calls from behind from H2K and a fantastic game plan from Splyce early on when they were getting those early kills. Like, it looked so smooth. There's like, okay, they got it. Everything is in the bag. Wonder, though, on this Trundle, after Trashy helped him level 2 and level 3, 2 fully completed items, massive CS advantage, will just dominate the side lane. And if he can continue getting more towers for his team, he's going to continue giving them more gold, and then they will get to 3-4 items and can start fighting with Xayah.
Yeah. But is it going to be fast enough? That's the thing. At the same time, Nuclear is pretty much soloing out that bottom tier 2, looking to march down with this Baron buff on everybody. And they might need Wonder to start TPing in to try and take the fight. He's busy with Odoamne up on the top side, tanking tower shots. Meanwhile,
he's trying to kill him.
Down to half the health. Let's see if he can do it. Under tower. He's not able to get away, but back to the main fight. Down in the bottom, H2K finish off that tower.
Odoamne can TP into the fight as well.
He's going to start right now. He's already back to base to get himself nice and healthy. Splyce find themselves with 4 members. Crucially losing out on that Trundle. That is inhibitor number 1 taken out and right back to the scene of the original crime. It's going to be the next to fall in the mid. H2K flexing their muscles, looking to try and put themselves up 2-0 in this gauntlet match.
2 inhibs for them now. Jankos getting out of the base as well. Only lost that bot lane inhib. That will be even out. Top lane is where we're looking. There was no way for them to go and take another tower, seeing as they were already fighting under that tower, but Odoamne winning that 1v1. Super, super important for him. But the fact he actually TP'd in was maybe not really necessary, because there was always the threat of him TPing to join a fight. So Splyce would not have really contested when H2K were pushing in. So now you actually find yourself in a situation where there's no teleport on your top laner. Might end up hurting them. But right now he doesn't care. He just won this big fight. On the tower, all the minions gone. Wonder he's trying to get out of the tower range by chasing him, and then Odoamne with a quick turnaround into a nice stun. Like, he bought a lot of time waiting for cooldowns, waiting for the stun to be ready again. Great one-on-one, and rest of H2K don't care. They just want to push for more.
Yeah, still got 30 seconds ticking on the Baron buff, so right back to the last tower, still standing inside the base, and a massive recombo. Let's see if they've got the damage. Bobby trying to dish it out. What a huge knockup, but Febvin in the back line, pumping out that damage. Machine gun Cassiopeia, but Wonder finds 2 kills. The front line is melting. Senkuk's on the front. It's going to be a double to Odoamne. This is total and utter bloodbath in this top lane. Down goes the cow. And Febvin is going to slither away to tell the tale, but the only man standing from the H2K side, Splyce holding the line.
We just got the full wombo combo from Splyce's side. So much CC landing. Nuclear again is the man that Mickey finds in the start of the fight. And this Tristana doesn't even get a chance to flash away. It's just knock up after knock up after knock up, and then you will die. Let's see it again, let's see it again. It all starts with Mickey. You see the Galio sitting in base. Look at Nuclear and Tristana. He gets charmed, then he gets knocked up, then he gets knocked back, then he gets knocked up, then he gets knocked up again. And now he's dead. I think he was spamming his flash, and at no point could he have actually flashed away.
Yeah, you spend all your time airborne, not much you can do. And Febivin, the only one who lives, he's the only one who didn't get hit by that CC train. And Che in the end just kind of keeps the front line alive, and Febivin's going to end it off. I mean, incredible positioning from the H2K mid laner, but Splyce, what a wombo of a team fight.
And Kobe was just sitting there dealing so much damage in the back. This is exactly what they want to do with the comp. Another fight, Pyra, get ready.
Oh, Jankos on the front. There is a pillar he's knocked right into, and let's see if they get it once more. Featherstorm coming out for Kobe, pulling him right back in, but Odoane is already polished off. Mickey X, Nuclear leaping forward, flashing, looking for a kill. That's one reset. See if you can get more on the back of this one. Jankos trying to chase them down. Splyce scattered to the winds without their top, without their support, without two of their inhibitors. They're hanging by a thread.
Yeah, this time Splyce did not manage to lock down the 2 carries on the side of H2K, and suddenly there was enough damage in return to kill the front line of Splyce. That last tower is still standing there laughing at them, but they will take it down.
Yeah, pretty easy peasy at this point. Hard to defend when you're down so many members. The last inhibitor there for the taking. Marching the minions into 3 lanes. If Kabi can only get a shutdown, that might turn their fortunes around, but it's desperation time for Splyce. You do not want to be 0 and 2 to open up the regional qualifier, but it's starting to look that way.
Probably looking concerned as ever in these games, realizing how close it is despite H2K, winning a game 2. Now they got 3 inhibs. I wanna make the bold prediction and say now they're looking like the big favorites in this game. But
the safe lead.
I will say up until the point they killed that last inhib, it really still felt like Splyce had ways back in the game, and of course they still technically do. It's just so hard with these inhibs all down. Let's see the fight this time around. Notice how they engage from Splyce. They're actually not able to get onto Febi or Nuclear. Great ulti from the Cassiopeia, and you see the 2 carries split up in the fight, and if you can't wombo combo down one of them, well then they will kill your front line. H2K, they're getting ready for the 3rd game. Almost full screen of Prolly.
Yeah, we wanted to see more of the concern. But I think for the time being, this will be pretty happy. At the end, Trashy steals back his own blue. A big gold lead for H2K. They picked up another Infernal Dragon for even more damage. And now it's just going to be try and march down the mid lane. Minions in the top, minions in the bottom. Wonder trying to hold those ones at bay, but we're 30 minutes in here. It's looking like the end game soon.
And we have QSS for Nuclear now. So when he gets charmed, he can try and QSS and jump out. He has no flash though, so it might be difficult for him to do, because if you QSS the first charm, there's a high chance you still get hit by the knockup. Following from any of the 3-4 knockups on the side of Splyce.
Oh, we saw a combo.
Then we saw a combo.
Just for a second, turning back in. Wonder goes for the hero's entrance. They get 2 root with Zaya and Rakan on the back line looking for Che and Jankos. They're holding it all, and Wonder looking for Nuclear. Bopped back, but do they have the damage? He dodges out the ultimate from Jankos, and they might have enough left in the tank. Those feathers are running out anytime soon. Wonder gets the finishing blow on Nuclear. H2K, they're the ones heading for the hills as Senkuk's trying to hold on. But look at those super minions. They're going to demolish one tower, looking for 2. Splyce got to get back home and defend.
True to bold prediction. Splyce winning another fight, staying alive in this game with 2 inhibs just respawn, Pyra.
It was bold, that's what I'm saying.
That's true. If they can win another fight now, then suddenly Baron is alive. That's going to be the big objective. H2K had 3 lanes with double super minions, but that's gone now. Only 1 Nexus turret died, and another fight was won in favor of Splyce. No flash from Nuclear in the following team fight. H2K only 3 members. They're around the Baron to see if Splyce is starting it, but they can't do anything.
Yeah, and Hib's back up in 2 lanes, though, for Splyce right now, so they might have a bit more breathing room.
They have a lot more breathing room.
They are all in on this engaged Officio. The righteous glory for Mickey X. He has been so critical, but he can't get caught now. Oh, dashing over.
All right, so no QSS, no flash from Nuclear in the next fight here. If Mickey can get onto him, they can change CC and kill the Tristana. Wonder found a really good flank in that last team fight. Let's see if we can do that again. It is difficult though, there's no deep wards he can TP onto.
Just in the Baron pit, and now it looks like H2K don't want to give him the opportunity to fight. Trashy stop. There's a CC train on the H2K side, and it's Odo Wamne with the finisher. Kabi goes up. Featherstorm pulls him back, doesn't get the root. Jankos on the front, and it looks like Wonder's trying to get desperately into the fight, but it might be too little. It might be too late. Odo Wamne going forward, but he doesn't find the kill off onto Kabi. That inhibitor is theirs for the taking, however.
Got a few minutes as well if they want to go for more. Towers down to 50% HP. Secure the bot lane in him first. 25 seconds soon to be here on Trashy before he's alive.
Kabi's coming back up. There's the pillar, the hop away from Nuclear. They're going to get in, get out, exactly what they needed. And now they might be able to take this Baron with a little less congestion.
Well, Trashy will be alive. It's going to be a full reset. We're going to get Elder Drake soon. We have Baron already up. We will need another fight, but H2K secured double super minions. Again, with only one Nexus turret, that is something you really need to respect. Trashy, once he gets knocked up and then stunned after, Miasma comes down and there's no way out.
Yeah, the H2K go button is real powerful. Nice ult from Kabi, though. He would have been a dead man for sure.
It's very important to highlight how it's Splyce who needs to engage to actually get onto H2K's backline and kill them. H2K can kite back. They can just let Tristana and Cassiopeia shoot whatever's in front of them.
Yep, now shoot whatever in front of them. It's going to be the Baron. Pretty easy to take that one out with all the damage they're packing. So H2K, before Splyce can really even muster up an opposition force, is going to be Baron picked up with 2 dragons, the Infernal variety, 2 the Cloud variety, and no inhibitors up for Splyce. 1 Nexus turret. These guys are holding on to the edge of the cliff.
Mickey needs a few more seconds on his flash for the ultimate engage onto Nuclear or Febiven. There's no flash from Febiven's Cassiopeia. That should be the target for Splyce.
Okay, they want to go in to start things off a little bit early. They look for Jankos, look for Che, but they don't have Nuclear, they don't have Febiven. Do they have enough damage? That's a lot of taunts, and Senkox, he's going to have to back out. The Cassiopeia ultimate locks up Mickey for just a second, doesn't die. Che goes in to try and finish him off. Nuclear around the side. This one is oh so close. Nuclear being chased away. Can they do it with Stupers and Baron buff inside their base? Justice punch forward for Senkox. It's a shutdown. Nuclear grabs one, a double kill, cleaning up the Splyce boys. Can they do it? Wonder is the last man standing, and damn the Penta, damn the kill. They're gonna take the Nexus. Game 2 for H2K.
What a crazy game 2, man. Again, it looks so good for Splyce in the start, but H2K with some fantastic calls find their way back in the game. They get a big, big lead. And while Splyce tried so hard to defend towards the end,
like 5 times.
5 times at least. H2K just
lost track.
With all the inhibs, they managed to win that last fight anyway. They're 2-0 now, Pyra.
Yeah, that was absolute insanity. And very rarely did it feel like it was gonna be over for sure. There was always that hope that Splyce could execute the Wombo. But in the end of the day, they tried to hold out in the base, and they were overrun by the forces of H2K.
And they relied so much on Kabi's damage in the late game, and he dealt a lot of it, like by far the most in the game. Sadly for him, when he's dealing with Tristana and Cassiopeia in terms of their damage against one tank, he will lose out. And the fights, they were close, they were very even. But with those inhibs down, and of course everything that happened before these last comeback fights, H2K got far enough ahead to just win enough fights to take the game. I'm not going to say all the fights.
And again, it was having multiple carries that were able to do it. Like we talked a lot about Febiven's positioning earlier on and Nuclear getting shut down. Nuclear really turned things up, and at the very end of it, staying safe, with or without the QSS, got to give the man some credit.
But we've learned now here in the Gauntlet that in Europe, at least if you're Splyce in H2K, it's not about fancy rotations. It's all about forcing fights on each other left and right.
Over and over again.
Over and over.
We're 2 games in, man. This is going to be incredible. All right, H2K, they are looking to try and close this one out in 3. So let's send it over to the analysts for more on game number 2.
Pyra at a loss for words. Well, have I ever? Well, it was very, very exciting and very frustrating for Splyce and very convincing from H2K. And it's just been a bit sad for Splyce, to be honest, because 2 games in a row now, they've done pretty well in the early game, then given it up. So we'd first like to highlight what they did do well in the early game again.
Right, exactly. When you look at the early game, the cast has talked a lot about this. Level 6 point with Zyra Khan. You set up this bot lane play, bring down Senkox, and it's all easy pickings down here as Nuclear and Che have no option on where to go here.
I think with the way I see Galio right now, she has taken kind of Talia's place. Always Galio is going to be pushing mid lane early on in the game, and Cassiopeia, I think Febiven is shouting, guys, just run away from bots, and they didn't, and the double kill came in for Splyce.
It did, and at this point, I'd like to pull up the gold graph of this game because Splyce was in a position where they were up about 3,000 gold before the 10-minute mark and managed to get their inhibitor pushed in by the 18-minute mark. Now, you coached Splyce, even in this exact tournament last year when they made it to Worlds, right? So what do you have to say to these guys? Because this is turning into a very frustrating turn of events when you get good drafts, a lot of preparation for this match, and 2 games in a row, you get caught with your pants down.
I think when it's, you know, in the end, I think League of Legends is such a delicate game that these small decisions matter. And I think at this point, the only thing you gotta tell your players is that you need to let go of what happened, because most of the times these situations that they were in this game that made them lose eventually were situations that are not gonna happen again. They just need to let go of these thoughts and go into the next game with a new idea, because H2K had a very similar draft 2 games in a row. So they need to just switch it up, try something new, and come in with a fresh mind, hopefully.
And at least the way that H2K have come back into the game is similar in both games as well. We just saw Trashy stats there. H2K have either picked off Trashy or prevented Trashy from getting objectives at really key points in the game. And the one we want to take a look at now is H2K at the fight they end up taking around Infernal Drake, because, again, it's Splyce for what seems to be a safe setup. Deficio talked about this so much. Yamato, you looked at the breakdown on how the wave was pushed out before this. Like, was Splyce wrong to make this call?
I think they had the wave pushed in bottom, but the good thing what Fabiven did here, he took the aggressive position, was the first one that came towards the Infernal Drake. So he had a good angle, and of course, Splyce used so many ultimates to try to get onto him. We saw the Xayah ultimate, Galio used his abilities as well, and the Rakan combination as well. When these abilities are out of the picture, they don't have this strong teamfight presence. And on top of that, Trundle was the one that based second. So H2K saw this play coming, Renekton started to base, sacrificed the top lane wave for this, and what Splyce needed to do, accept the small gain of these waves, because H2K started moving very early on towards the Drake. They need to accept the fact that H2K is losing a wave in mid, a wave up top, a wave up bottom. This is a good victory as well, but they just overreached for the Drake. Renekton, of course, is going to do so much more than a Trundle in these teamfight situations. Has the CC, and a Trundle with a timer is going to just paddle people, but that doesn't make much of a difference in these
one
fights.
element of what you said there, the fact that H2K is just reading the moments better and the windows in which they have to engage is really what spelled out for me over these last 2 games. I want to take a look at the final team fight. As said, H2K was pushing the inhibitor pretty early on. We also have to highlight Nuclear in this game overall. He was a question mark for you, Stress.
Yes, coming into today, we said, hey, Nuclear needs to step up. We weren't particularly convinced.
Not doing anything here yet, though.
The sequence of fire. We're waiting to see Nuclear have an effect later on in the game. This was the fight where they ended up getting that long-range catch down onto one guard. Here he comes, Nuclear into the fight, ends up getting the kill there. And as you said, he was a big question mark coming through, but the Tristana as a pick and the way Nuclear was playing out through this passage of the game, I think was a big confidence boost to the H2K bot lane. They didn't look like a liability in this series so far. Maybe the early laning phase, when you look at how Mickey and Cobby played, you can give to Splyce, but outside of that, as soon as the map opens up, I have no real problems with H2K's bot lane.
I think that's the beauty of like continuity. The fact that H2K just came off of a best of 5 over in Paris. They get to come into practice knowing what they need to change. It was very clear in the series against Fnatic that Nuclear was the problem. They solved that on blue side by banning Xayah, putting him on Varus and Ashe, and on red side not banning the Tristan and putting him on Comfort. And on top of that, I think it's very impressive that H2K have kind of dropped this idea that they only play around mid lane. I love to see that Jankos can gank into bottom. He can be very active on the top side as well. Odoamne playing the champions where he can be very impactful on. So I really like all these adjustments that H2K have done. It's very clear that they came into this week's practice with a lot of good ideas in mind, and I think they've shown up big time here.
Well, I think that's absolutely crucial, and you could say, well, Splyce has seen all those matches, they can prepare, but there's one thing that you can't really do, and that is get warm and get into the zone. H2K practically just came back from Paris. They played a best of 5 until Fnatic. They kind of beat their own demons there, even though they didn't win that match. So they're just probably just more in the game and on the stage at this moment in time.
For sure. I think in a lot of cases, the main struggle a lot of teams run into is finding purpose in practice. And that usually comes off of the games you have off stage. And the last time when I was in Splyce and we did this gauntlet run, and that was also the time when we played the finals against G2, we had a lot of information to work with, and we had very targeted, specific practice. We came into practice with an idea, and that makes for useful practice. In a case where you have this huge downtime, and you don't know exactly, like, sure, they had the sales against G2, you can focus on that, and then eventually you reach a point where you kind of rinse and repeat.
I mean, not to call it out, also, they don't really have a coach on stage with them. The analyst is also no longer with them, so we don't know how much that's working to play and who's working with them. But Stress, you had Splyce as an outside candidate to run the gauntlet and take on Fnatic and possibly even win it. Do you still see that as realistic now?
I see it as very unlikely at this point now. Splyce, I think in the early game has looked like the Splyce that I wanted to see actually playing up to their ability, but they've made a couple of decisions that it's actually more on H2K for punishing them that is what is hurting them so far. And I think that was something that I didn't account for coming into today. However, Wonder has still looked like a threat. If somehow Camille gets through the draft, or maybe he gets an even better start to the game, they could look to get a game 3. But at the moment, it looks like H2K 3-0.
H2K, things are looking really, really good for them. They have a chance to sweep their way to the next round. We will be back for game 3 after the break.